Greetings one and all. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. We're at a place called Woodmont Country Club, and I believe we're in Maryland, and we're on Rockville Pike, so I think we're still in Silver Spring, Maryland. It's a really beautiful spring snow, and I thought I would try to get a little outdoor coverage, but I'm not sure if the wind will cooperate, but I was trying to give you guys a nice view to go with our conversation today. Today's talk focuses on the fact that Daimler/NiKola has stated that Tesla really can't compete when it comes to the semi-truck. When Daimler made this argument, they really focused on the fact that Daimler doesn't have a presence around the world that's needed by a lot of big companies to support their vehicles. Hey, thank you very much for the comment. So I don't know if you guys mind, but I really like the lifestyle element of it. So I wanted you guys to take a quick look at what the spring snow has done here. And we got the largest snowstorm of the year. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a view of what we're seeing. And so this is greetings. Hey Swahili. Thanks for taking time out once again to join us. If this is your first time, thank you very much, Julio. If this is your first time on the channel, please take the time to like and subscribe. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. Also wanted to remind you we could definitely use your support on Patreon if possible. $1 or $2 a month would really help us to do a better job all around. It's a little bit of wind popping up and we have vehicles going by, but I really like the surroundings, so I wanted to sneak this in here today. So I think you guys should crucify me for bad video, but you know, there's a motive behind it. So I chose the photo, well, there's an initial photo I have, and I'll be switching it out because I think one of the most important photos of the year just came out from Tesla. The photo you see on the front is an image of the fact that because the Model 3 and both the Model 3 and the Semi share a number of parts. This is a really big issue that is subtle. So the photo I have is of the Tesla Semi sitting next to a Model 3 at the repair facility in a place called Plano, Texas. Now, this photo is a bombshell. The reason it's a bombshell is because the truck shares so many parts with the Model 3, and the mechanics trained on the Model 3 will be able to work on the truck. You now have an interesting situation where, you know, all those Tesla repair facilities around the world will be able to accommodate the truck. So what this then means is that the Tesla Semi has a global footprint for not only repairs, but for a slower charge, they can actually use the supercharger facilities. So again, I'll slow down my comments while we let some trucks and ICE vehicles go by, etc. So why this is important to note is that Daimler has been making the argument that Tesla can't compete because of the dearth of facilities that are required in the future for truckers. The current buyers of trucks are focused on sort of day trippers, meaning, I'm sort of ducking down here because we can duck under the wind profile a little bit so the noise of the wind won't be hitting my camera. So what we're really talking about is the fact that with this photo, it confirms a few important elements. The first element is that the truck and the Model 3 are sharing enough parts so that, in essence, you'll have a prepared situation for the trucks to show up anywhere in the world that there are regular Teslas and be able to get parts for repair and other activities. So I believe that this is amazing, huge, and terrific. And the reason why this is terrific is that basically Tesla has the footprint to compete anywhere in the world when they're ready to do so, and will have people who are well trained to handle those vehicles. So I think that's a pretty mind-blowing, amazing circumstance and well worth noting. The second thing that I found interesting about this development is that Tesla is what's called 80% vertically integrated. So one of the reasons why they consume so much cash is that they don't have a lot of outside suppliers. And, that's what I was thinking. I'll drop down a little bit here. That takes me out of the wind profile you just mentioned. So what I further wanted to cover is the fact that Tesla is now in an interesting position because with 80%, hey, I will do that. Let me do the jump in the car routine and sort of blow up my outside video here, as we've discussed. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Wanted to get that outside view because it's beautiful. You got the sunlight. There's all kinds of benefits, but obviously the noise wasn't allowing us to work that well. So what I further wanted to cover is the fact that Daimler has argued that they're actually going to be focused, or Tesla has to try to catch up to them, in particular because of their global footprint. Thanks, Daniel, for the comment. What I'm fascinated by here in this case is that there have been reviews, for example, of the Model 3. And one of the data points that we shared recently is the fact that, guess what? Tesla can, from scratch, put a brand new car on the road in 6 weeks. So what that means is that if you get reviews or there's a problem with the vehicle, because Tesla is not working with a bunch of outside suppliers, they can quickly switch to deliver whatever it is on the truck side or the car side in a 6-week period because they have so much of their build in-house. This is kind of a disaster, though, on the other hand, because with all of that in-house manufacturing, that means all their cash ends up tied up. So there's a bunch of folks that keep discussing the fact that Tesla's not making money and blah, blah, blah. But frankly, I don't think it matters. I hope Tesla doesn't make money for the next 5 years or so, because this ensures that they're able to continue to invest in growing the operation nicely so they can have a huge platform with which to produce. So what I wanted to further cover today is not only is Tesla's model, going to work for Tesla, but I believe there are a number of firms, including and especially Daimler, that will have to vertically integrate in order to compete with Tesla. And the reason is that if you're not producing your own battery and other components, you're at a competitive disadvantage. The other issue is that when you have 2,000 parts that go into an ICE engine, for example, I think that's on the car side, not the truck side, all those parts, you have to have a pretty large supply chain to make that work. But the motors are only 17 parts. And you have the battery, obviously, is more parts than that, but you could consider it one part of the vehicle. So what this really suggests is that, Tesla can't compete with Daimler, or is it Daimler that can't compete with Tesla? And the reason I say that is, think about it. Tesla currently has a vehicle that's on the road and testing among different vendors. Those vendors are seeing the only semi-truck that goes 80,000 pounds that can roll 200 to 500 miles in range. So I think that, that's really big news. Now, the other thing about the photo that you saw is that the truck is now, or at least the tractor part of the truck from Tesla is now making the rounds, visiting the larger buyers of the truck. So the photo you saw is, again, a place called Plano, Texas. Just prior to that, a number of executives did a private event at Pepsi. And as you know, Pepsi has pre-ordered 100 trucks, and therefore, they're getting a special attention of having access to the truck early. I wanted to, further note that based on the fact that they're currently in Dallas, the nearest next largest buyer, I believe, is a company called UPS in Atlanta. But I also believe that JB Hunt has ordered, I believe, 40 trucks, and they I think have a headquarters I believe it's in Arkansas, but they're between the Dallas location currently and the Atlanta location, or the greater Atlanta area where UPS's headquarters are. So my expectation is the next photos we see will be, possibly some Tesla fans taking pictures of the truck, on the drive time between Atlanta and Dallas. And I do believe that we'll see, some photos of that truck arriving. The other thing that's great about seeing the truck in action and on the road is that as you have folks that work for Tesla being able to open up the truck and take a look at what's going on, it prepares them from a training standpoint to be ready to be part of the repair solution for the truck while they're on the road. So I think it's a win-win to have the truck out there and in front of clients. It confirms to everybody involved that the truck exists. There are a lot of people that question whether or not the whole thing is viable. I have to admit, I do have a question that's lurking, and we kind of talked about it in our last video, which is the truck is actually using the supercharger facilities at the Dallas facility that you'll see. But the issue that pops up is, according to some of the things I've read, the truck is actually consumes 4 supercharger stations at the same time. So I keep seeing photos of the truck backed up to one charger facility, but not a long cable. So it's not clear. There are 2 things possibility-wise. One possibility is they've got a special cable that they use to get the truck to do its thing. The other possibility is that not only do they, the other possibility is they simply charge more slowly and therefore just use one charger facility. I don't know which one it is because we haven't been able to see which one they're doing, but it's one or the other. One suggestion was that they really are using 4 facilities at the same time, and therefore, thanks for the comment, John. So, in general, that's my issue in terms of what's happening there. So I think it's getting pretty exciting right now because it's clear that the truck does work. So we can check off the fact that, 1, the truck exists. That came as of November. Number 2, we can check off the fact that the truck is not just a picture and you could see it move a little bit. We've now seen it hauling cargo up into the mountains in California under very stressful circumstances. So in general, I believe it works. The only question marks we have that remain are, can it really go the 300 to 500 miles that's been described? I think that the answer to that is probably yes, because of the range between locations. They were in Missouri 2 days prior to showing up in Dallas, so it looks like they are able to get the mile range that we talked about and use the superchargers as they do so. The final question that pops up is, when does Tesla arrive at scale on the batteries so that the price point that they've argued they can meet is actually achieved? And we won't, I guess we won't see that occurring. Hello from Poland, and thanks for taking time out. I would like to know how to say goodbye in Polish as well, so I can use that at the end of my videos as one of the languages I use. So I just wanted to take time today because I wanted to remind you guys that on Sunday, when we do it on Saturday, in terms of our live session, we tend to have fewer views. When we do it, when we do it on a, I had a question. I have an ending that I'd like, because there's a white Model S with white seats that's phenomenal, and I'd love to have that as the ending video, but I don't know if you guys will hang around for me to drive back over there so you can see it. But I do think it's cool, and I'll probably, maybe close out as we're driving so that I can show you this car, because it is an S90 and it looks absolutely phenomenal. So my final comment here is that I think it's really getting exciting with the Semi. It's showing that it can put a lot of miles on. It can go visit customers in different parts of the United States that are hundreds of miles apart. And I think that is absolutely phenomenal news. I think the news that the truck can be serviced at our, the fact that the news is all good on the truck is awesome. I'm just praying that they'll be able to meet the price point that's described and not lose a ton of money once they're producing batteries at scale for the truck. So, I think it's, I just think that a lot of interesting, good developments, shall we say. So what I'm going to do, so I appreciate you guys, hanging in there for a minute while I drove around here. This is a model, obviously it's a Model S, it's white, it's beautiful, but I was trying to avoid showing the license plate on the back because that's a kind of an invasion of privacy. So let's take a look at this thing to close out our session for today. Ooh, let's see if it's showing up here. Yeah, there it is. Is that cool or what, guys? You gotta say that's a cool looking ride. So I want to thank you guys for taking time out to visit our winter wonderland. Please, if you haven't liked and subscribed, as well as hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss anything, number one. Number two, we'd really appreciate some support on Patreon if you would, and we'll get the link. It's on all our other videos, but I'll put it on this as well. Finally, just a reminder, just got my real estate license. We're capable of doing business anywhere in the United States, especially in the greater DC area. Would appreciate an opportunity to work with you if possible. And hey Gene, it's 73 and sunny there. Thanks a lot, dude. It's 40 degrees with a 15-mile-an-hour wind and about 25 here right now, but the sun is shining, which is better than snow or rain. Okay, goodbye in Polish, spelled to read. I'll try again next time. Do widzenia is goodbye in Polish. So I'm learning here, there's hope. So again, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Again, please support us with $1 or $2 on Patreon. Tschüss, macht's gut, au revoir, lehit rot, hoda. So, tschüss, German, au revoir, Français, lehit rot, Hebrew, hoda hafez, Farsi, and I keep going back to German because it's one of the languages I speak better than others. Adios in Espanol, and enough respect from a friend from Jamaica in Sweden. Hejda in Swedish. Okay, I'll go with that one. All right, guys. Thank you again for taking time out, and please share your comments underneath. Would appreciate any input you might have. We're a Tesla Fan Insight, so I have to admit, we're not going to be really supporting highly negative comments on Tesla. Not everything is perfect, but we support the mission statement of the company and what they're trying to accomplish. Again, thank you once again, and we'll look forward to our next conversation. on Sunday.